So this evening we have with us Victoria Etchegary. Victoria is the Manager of Organizational Performance and Strategy with the City of St. John's. We're going to talk about public engagement. Now, you may have gotten notices saying that the city is engaging and looking for feedback on different issues. Well, we thought we'd have a chat with Victoria about how engagement works. So, Victoria, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we often see public engagement and governments doing engagement. Why is it important for governments to do engagement?
Well, I think for cities in particular, it's important because most of us living in the city of St. John's interact with the things the city provides on a daily basis. We're traveling on the roads, we're going to the parks, we're going to the playgrounds, we're using the various amenities that are available. So I think when people are going out and about, they have an opportunity through public engagement to often provide feedback on what those things are that they interact with.
So the city undertakes hundreds of projects a year. How do we decide when to do engagement and what projects do we decide to do engagement on?
It's a bit of a complicated process sometimes. There are situations where we already know what needs to happen. There's a gap being met. There may have been engagement in the past where we have recommendations. It could be something coming through the capital budget. So that might proceed and follow a communications path. And then there are other situations where there could be something that emerges and we're not quite sure how people feel about it. Could be a policy change, could be programming. It really depends on what the project is.
Yeah, I think, the public engagement's been around in some form for quite some time. Yeah. Probably 15, 20 years ago, it was very simple. There was public meetings and that was public engagement. What are some of the challenges with engaging with the public now?
I think one of the biggest challenges these days is just the volume of information that's coming at people. So the city has a lot of different ways it's sharing information with the public, whether that's through social media or through things that people sign up for. We also have mainstream media. We have other organizations that are trying to get the public's attention. So just getting people, number one, to stop and have a moment and say, this is something that's going to impact me today or in the future, and I have an opportunity to provide my feedback, so I want to be able to do that. But also to pay attention to it through the life cycle of the project. So today, we might go out and engage on a project, and we bring something back to council and to staff to say, this is what we heard through this process. It could be months later before recommendations go forward or decisions get made. So people may have stopped paying attention to it at that point in time. So just ensuring that we're following all the way through and ensuring that people have an opportunity to be involved throughout that whole process.
So there's many different tools that you can use for public engagement, and I think one of the most important ones is that people have an option available to them.
Yes.
Or as many options to participate. What are some of the more common tools that we use for public engagement?
So anytime we have a project now at the city, for city-led projects in particular, we have an online website that's called engagestjohns.ca. And since we launched that in 2015, we have had nearly 100,000 visitors to that site. So every project then has a sort of prescriptive overview, so you can see what the project's about, why we're engaging, who's listening, could answer questions, provide your feedback directly there, which is a great way for people to do it. Not everybody wants to use online tools. Sometimes people still want to provide feedback via email, call us. They may want to reach out directly to a counselor. They may want to provide feedback through a meeting. So every time we look at a project, we try to figure out, okay, who is going to be impacted by this project? What are the ways that are going to make sense for those various folks to actually provide their feedback? So in some cases, we may make tools available to everybody, like a survey or what have you. And there could be other cases where we know we need to meet with people in small group environments, could be one-on-one to get their feedback in that way. But we try to make sure that everybody who wants to can provide their feedback.
So what do you say to the person who says, well, I don't know why you're asking me for my opinion because you're going to do what you want anyway. I've been said to me over the years. What do you say to them?
I say to people, it's really important that you take some ownership of making sure that your voice gets heard. So if you provide your feedback through the various tools that we're providing, we're then going to summarize that feedback. We're going to try to take and understand what you've told us and translate that into such a way that whoever the project lead is or whoever the council lead is, they're going to get some sense of what those needs are within the community. And I think there have been a lot of projects over the time that I've been here where people's feedback has really impacted the decisions that ultimately council will make.
So if a person really wants to be involved, they're interested, they want to know, they want to be involved in giving feedback on this, what should they do to make sure that they're included in engagement?
The easiest way for people to make sure they don't miss out on anything is to create an account on our engagement platform. That way, whenever there's a new engagement opportunity, they will get an email notification letting them know what the project is, how long the engagement's going to be open, the ways that they can provide their feedback. If there's meetings that they can register for or participate in online, like all of that information will be available. They can also sign up for city notifications. So a lot of the public engagement work is also on the city's calendar and through those types of notifications as well.
So perhaps, to show that, engagement does have an impact. It does influence and provide information to the decisions that are being made. What have you seen in terms of some of the decisions that have been impacted by public engagement? In that, at the beginning, that really wasn't where the decision was, but the decision shifted.
I think there's been a few, and I think every project that has been done in some way, shape, or form, the feedback that has been collected has definitely been looked at. It's been used. There may be a couple of things that can be implemented, but not all things can be implemented necessarily for everybody. One example that comes to my mind is automated garbage. And I talk about that one because everybody cares about garbage in the city. And the council had already made a decision based on the business case that they wanted to implement automated garbage. And many other municipalities had already done it, gone ahead and implemented. But council provided us with direction to go out and basically talk to residents about what their concerns were. We had some opportunity to influence the size of the garbage bin that was being used, to potentially look at some sustainability measures. And that project was really interesting because we had a massive volume of engagement on that. We did a lot of pop-up events where people were able to come out, talk directly to the staff, touch and feel the different sizes of the bins and get some perspective on it. We met with the city's advisory committees, also a really important stakeholder for us. And the Inclusion Advisory Committee provided some meaningful feedback that influenced such things as exemptions and those types of things. And we had some focus groups with various residents, and we took away from them, like, what are the things that you're really concerned about? Let's just kind of get to the crux of it. And then that helped inform some of the conversations that we had with folks. So at the end of the day, I think we were able to bring forward what we heard in a meaningful way, and staff and council could make the recommendation to go with the size of the bin that we did, and also the various exemptions and things like that to make the program effective for everybody.
If I remember that process too, there was also, it came around in that we were able to troubleshoot some of the issues that we had, and people would have specific issues that needed to be addressed. So it kind of serves that purpose as well, to be able to improve the communications with the residents on decisions when they're made.
And in that one in particular, we knew there were some streets that couldn't be within the scope of automated garbage. So we said, okay, let's make that list available. Let's show that on a map, and we'll give people the opportunity to tell us if they think it is possible on their street. So then we used a mapping tool on the engagement page, and people were able to go in and tell us, what they thought, and then the waste management staff were able to follow up. And in some cases, there were streets that were put on the list that hadn't originally been planned to be.
So if you are interested in participating in public engagement, joining engagestjohns.ca is the way to look, and to make sure that you get your comments in. Thanks very much, Victoria. And if anybody wishes to see the information on Engage St. John's, they can check our website.